Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kitty and I'm an academic junior doctor in the UK. I'm currently studying for an exam called the MRCS Part A, which is what you need in order to enter surgical training eventually in the UK. I'm currently on a rest day after working the weekend on call, so I thought I would do a study with me video to take you through how I learn new topics and study for a medical exam. After running some errands and just relaxing in the morning, I start my workday at 3 PM in the afternoon, starting with doing some admin tasks and replying to some emails. When I'm ready to start my revision, I set a 1-hour timer on my phone. This is called the Pomodoro technique, where you use a timer to break down your work into intervals and breaks. Today's topic to learn is lower limb anatomy, and I'm using Notion as my trusty note-taking app. I spend a few moments going through my notes from the previous day, which are all styled in the Cornell method of phrasing everything as a question, so I'm prompted to think of the answer first before revealing what it is. Revising it the day after I've taken the notes also fits into the spaced repetition revision strategy, where you review information at certain intervals to improve the length of time to remember the fact. After this, I start on the focus of today, which were the veins, lymphatic system, and nerves of the lower limb. I'm primarily using teachmeanatomy.com as my main resource to learn, as I find that it covers the body anatomy at a level that is mostly sufficient for the MRCS exam. If I find that something is unclear, or if I want to go into more detail, I also have anatomy books at hand for further reading. I'm mindful that passive note-taking is not a good use of my time and will not aid memorization of these facts, so I usually go through a whole subtopic first, for example the lumbar plexus, ensuring that I understand what I'm reading. Then I summarize the essential takeaway facts. For anatomy, I find drawing diagrams on paper to be one of the most useful things I can do, as I can consolidate knowledge in my head in a way that I can understand it best. Finally, I use Notion to create questions for myself, for example the principal action of a nerve, and try to answer these without looking at the resource before finally checking them against the answer. This ensures that I'm actively engaged in the learning process rather than being passive. At this point, my 1-hour timer is up and I get up to take a short break. This consists of making myself a new beverage of green tea, and I decide to do some light exercises in the form of pull-ups to get myself moving, and also because there is evidence that physical exercise before and during study sessions can boost your memory. After this, I enter the second part of my study session, which consists mainly of doing multiple choice question banks. This is the main resource that most people will use to pass medical exams like the MRCS, the reason being that medicine and surgery is so broad it would be impossible for anyone to learn every single thing. Instead, the best thing to do is rinse question banks like these to get a good idea of what the exam questions will be like, to reinforce knowledge learned from medical school and my day-to-day clinical work, and to highlight further gaps in topics that I need to learn. If I get a question wrong, I will read around the topic in the explanation provided, as well as using other resources like Google and YouTube to ensure that I understand it well. I will also make relevant notes in Notion, again using the Cornell method, but they tend not to be very comprehensive. The only exception that I make for this is for anatomy, where I read through teaching resources more comprehensively, as you saw earlier. This is only because I personally find it hard to revise bits of anatomy from MCQs, and I need a much stronger knowledge base to work off on. Additionally, I know that anatomy accounts for a huge part of the exam, and it is a staple for any good surgeon, so I would want to learn it quote-unquote the proper way. For MCQs, I tend to set a number goal rather than a timer, which is usually around 50 to 100 questions depending on the time I have that day. With that done, I end my day with a bit of violin practice that is long overdue. I hope you have found this video useful. If you would like to learn a bit more in depth about how I take notes using the Cornell method and spaced repetition, check out this other video on my channel where I compare Notion and Anki for studying. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content. That's it for now, and I'll see you next time.